Well, hello friends, how you doing? I'm doing a quick stream in order to help you to find IEMs, and I'm gonna get started in a little bit. And the goal of this video, it's really to show you a list that I came up in order to find IEMs for monitoring, for studio work, for behind the console it makes use, and it's been quite a journey finding IEMs, and right now I'm going to show you my live uh, IEM list that I have. It's going to be in the description below, and I would like to know what IEMs do you use, and I'm going to take some off right now because this list I had it for a while. It was just for me and the church to find frequencies, and if you haven't seen this, you haven't seen my other live streams. I explained, one of the best of the best that we can consider audiophile, or one of the best IEMs for getting audio into your ears, so be the Edition Viento for balanced armature drivers, and it's really close in signature to a pair of headphones called the MM500s by Audizi, MM by Manny Marroquin, or the MM100s, which is slightly different but it's similar, which we can consider a good studio with a good pair of NS10s, and maybe you can add a little bit of subwoofer to it by going the Harman curve, which would be the Theaudio Monarch Mark II, which gives you that bassy rumble. So here's my list, and what I break down in it is great IEMs for under 25. Then I jump into $50. It goes up to 150. There's a list. I'm gonna take some off right now from here. Under $300, and then what I consider to be the threshold of, let's say, of money per every dollar that you invest, how much audio you get back. I think $600 in 2024. Where are we? September 2024, right about to hit Labor Day. Pretty sure we're gonna find good deals. So $750. I mean, 600. Let's just say 750, which is close to 600, because this you can find them on special. I got a lot of good stuff in it. So let's start with the $25. Under 25, and I updated the graph, and there's a few different graphs, but I'm using the diffuse field 5128 as the baseline because it seems like a consistent graph, or the natural IEF, which is very similar to the 5128. And with IEM, it's a little bit different because if it really doesn't show a lot of low end extension here, like if I showed the DZs, but they do have. But in IEM, in order to get that same feel of it, you need a little bit of boost bass, especially after 200 hertz. So if we're gonna take the best of the best, you need to consider this. You need to consider fit. If you want custom mold, which is gonna elevate the price. There's nothing under $200 that it's gonna sound great, but you get a custom fit. And also the size of the IEM. With custom fit, what's to your ear, but with regular IEMs, you might have to go through a few. So let me give you my best recommendations for this coming Labor Day, or I'm doing it early Labor Day, for all the IEMs on my list. So if we look at under $25, an amazing deal, maybe not great for those who want hook ears, but it's the Tight Champ Zero, which it's insane. For $15 you get almost perfect diffuse field signature, which it just means it has this beautiful high end here, and what that translate is let's put the volume around there, the background music. I don't know if it's loud. Let me know if you think it's loud, if anybody connects. Anyways, so the goal with these IEMs is Okay, if you're looking for a flat response, they're very boring, but they're good for mixing, for referencing sound. Okay, but if you're a musician that plays only live, you don't necessarily need perfect flat response. You need IEMs that are fun and they represent certain frequencies. Let's say the Taichim Zero, it's great for engineers, but it's amazing for those who are singers. So that's why it's in the list, because if you need a backup, this would be a great IEM, and you can flip them over the ear. They're easy to fit. It's not that hard. And then you have another one, like uh, the sound notes, the 7 hertz sound notes zero, the first, not the second one, which it has a beautiful curve with not a lot of low end. But if you need something that is not as bright, a little more bass on it, a little more balancing kind of neutral, you have the 7 hertz 02, which these two are my top favorite under $25. Now fit, they're not very small, they're kind of bulky, so that could be a little bit of a problem for some people. Then you have something like the Tansu One Air, this one, which is amazing, and it's a little boring, I could say, but it's good also for those who need just enough punch but not sub low end. So that is a great addition. Now, one of my favorites right now that I'm waiting to get now my own, because I heard these, was the Celeste Wine and Pro, and this is new added to the list. For $25 to $35, depending the deal that you get, these are just amazing. What I'm really surprised is the extension of the high end. They're a little bit on that brightness, but it's just I really liked it for live performing. So under $25, you're not gonna get super nice detail. Most of them, they're gonna have some kind of bass or be like very plain. You're not gonna have great definition on separation of instruments. They're just gonna be basic. If they have bass, they have a lot of it, and it's gonna bleed into the all the frequencies because it only has one driver. So having multiple drivers, it's better. Even though the TRN MT4 Pro has dual drivers, still has a little bit of problem separating instruments soundstage. So under $25, you're not gonna get amazing sound, but good enough for beginners or as a backup for your volunteers. So fit, if fit's a problem, I recommend you the Chew 2, especially for females, because they're tiny, they're small. The Truthier Hola, they're also small, a little bit more neutral than the Chew 2. The Chew 2 has a little bit more rumbling bass and a little bit of that mid high frequencies, the mids. So you take your flavor. You will have to go through a few to find what's your favorite, but I think these are great. These are some of the best. If I had to take one out of this list, it would be the TRM T4, because I know they're not consistent in the audio in each driver. So for that reason, I've been hearing a lot of complaints about the TRN MT4. Overall, all the rest, they're pretty consistent. Okay, let's move on to the $50 tier. So here there's a lot of headphones, and then if you kind of got into multiple drivers, you have the CC810 or the KC AS10s, which is basically the same. And these are gonna get out of this list because they're very V-shaped, and even though they might be great, that punchiness low end sometimes bleed into the higher frequencies, and the extension and the brightness is just not there. They don't have so much detail. They sound great just for music, but as a live performing headphone, I think they're better options. So I think this one's like a no recommendation, and well, I'm gonna leave it there. Just I'm not gonna take anything out. Soundstage is not great, but at least you can hear a little bit better. And I think this would beat my SC215s. When I switched from that to this, it was like, wow, I hear a lot more things. And even when 1DD driver and 4 BAs, I heard in a lot of forums and people who really know audiophiles that really know about IEMs more than I do, that sometimes not all the drivers are working. So that's questionable. So that's why I hesitate. But there's a very few good ones here for all purposes. And one of my favorite ones when I really start getting into learning about this IEMs was Clinical Zero Red. Now there's a blue version, but the first version of the Zero Red by Trithiers, which is blue, and that one's more detail, doesn't have a lot more low end, but this one's amazing. I just didn't know that IEMs can sound this good for under $50. And you got the Orenis 1DD, which is an amazing 1DD driver headphone, and I was like, wow, this is just great, way better than anything under $25. Possibly the only two that can compete with $50 would be the 02 and the 7 Hertz 02 and the 70, maybe the 1 Ear and the Wyron Pro, the Celeste Wyron Pro. But these headphones here just take it a little bit better, especially in the separation of instruments. Soundstage to me is very important. The soundstage and that definition of those higher frequencies. But in this list, I kind of, the same. They're gonna be mostly the same sound, a little bit better. Not, for example, the Titanium Ola. It's just boring. There's no low end, but it's great for singers. So if you don't want to be fighting with EQs, this would be great. Just put them on, and it will give you those frequencies, great for singers or those who just want to focus on vocals. Also, the Heart Mirror Zero is just very, very flat for 1DD driver, and anything that has 1DD driver, some frequencies might not give you one. Let me put it this way: there's so much stuff going on, the one driver might not be able to reproduce all the signal flow, but at least you get the right tuning. And then if you have frequencies like the CC810, which is very B-shaped, it's fun, not necessarily for audio reproduction, like monitoring. Let me put it that way. For trying to hear details, especially as a musician, I need to hear those details when I play drums. I like to hear the guitars or the piano, whoever's leading, whoever's the main singer. I want to hear those frequencies, but I still want to retain a little bit of my low end, and I don't necessarily want to be EQing every time because there's different drummers every Sunday, and not always I'm playing drums. So even though the CC810s, I like them, once I start moving to more of that Harmon curve-ish, Harmon-ish curve, a little bit more bright than bass, I realized that I get better separation of everything, and it was easier to hear the click and instruments and singers. Anyways, but there is one IEM that my wife loved, which is the Teen Audio, the Teen 2, for vocals. It was amazing, pretty flat. The soundstage on this IEMs was just insane. I mean, it's really good. But there's this IEM that I just tried out that is amazing, and it's right here at the top. Even though it goes around $60, but I seen them for $49. Hopefully in Labor Day they have some good deal. But it's the 7 Hertz Sonos. I tried this on, and they sound like more expensive IEMs. They really do. There's one dynamic driver and one balanced armature driver. The tuning's amazing. The isolation is so good. The color, the fit, and how it presents soundstage is not wide. It's great, but the separation of instruments when I was doing a little bit of mix, it was great. it's fun. So this under $50 would be right now. It's my favorite for live use. If you're a musician that needs a little bit good of everything, that it'll be the 7 hertz Sonos. I just love how it represents audio. Now, if you're a mixing and audio engineer or a singer, the other headphone that I'm incredibly surprised and also is now my wife's new favorite is the CCA Duo. The CCA Duo is two dynamic drivers, and I gotta tell you that it's better than the T2 in some areas, especially the low end. Just when it punches, it's just good enough. I mean, it's just enough. But the higher frequencies, the extension that it has on the higher frequencies makes it perfect for singers. To some degree, a little bit, it would compete with the Sonos. It's just the Sonos, the isolation and everything, it's a lot better. The Duo is a little too small for my taste, but for female singers, I think this would be great fit. And it's with dynamic drivers, they're a little bit more dynamic, balance armature, that are a little more accurate. So anything that has a dynamic driver and a BA, balance armature driver, it's gonna give you some dynamics in the low end, but an accurate top end, and that's why I like the Sonos so much. It's a great choice under $50. I would even say it competes with some IEMs that are higher price than this, and I'll explain to you in a little bit. The Oranas were like very Harman. I think that this maybe is not gonna be here anymore. I'm gonna take it out because it's very B-shaped. The Sonos and the Duo just are better. But if you need punch, if you're a drummer and you need to hear that punch, you're a bass player and just want to hear rumble, this would be the right fit for you. And then that's where I want to leave this list, because some people might need flat response and just need as flat as you can. Go with the Hartmere Zero. If you need fun for live use, look at the frequencies. How much bass do you need, or how much bass you don't want, and how much mid-range you might want in higher frequencies. Now, the only problem with the Mirror Zero is that there's not that extension on the details, but it's pretty flat overall. Okay, so let's move into $150 because there's a lot going on here, and I would say that here are some gems, and we have different headphones like planars. And if you know what a planar is, it's just a flat piece of very thin metal that recreates the sound instead of a dynamic driver where you used to with regular speakers or balance armature drivers. And there's some great in here, but I don't think that it's enough just to rely on planars. Kind of like with dynamic drivers, one dynamic driver that might be great for some, but some of this gotta be out of here because there's better headphones, because we're focusing on the musician or those who are mixing. Maybe you need something that will help you distinguish sound on stage, or when you're trying to hear music and kind of hear, you don't want to be taking your regular headphones, you know, like my Audio Technicas M40Xs, which is one of my favorite. I have another pair which are the SHP 9500s, which are really close to my HD 650s, my Sennheiser's HD 650s. The only new headphone that will beat the my Sennheiser HD 650s is the new HD 490s, but that's a different topic. But that's what I mean. Like, you gotta get used to the sound that you need. So you still need to try some. So personally, I have a few pairs under $25, $50, and $150. We're on $150 tier. Let me not get sidetracked. There is a lot in here, and you can't really go wrong with any of these. one of my first over multiple drivers that I thought it was insane. 16 drivers, or each IEM had 8 drivers, was the CCA C8 16s. They were 150, now they're down to 80, and just the sound stages in these IEMs was insane for me. The fit was like perfect. The isolation wasn't that great, especially when I played drums, but the sound was like smooth. If you like that V shape, like a lot of bass, a lot of mids, and you want it smooth, this is something you want to look at. Same for the S12, which is a planar. It's very smooth, not great for my taste. Or like the Truthier Nova, which is Harman Curve. This one is just a lot better in so many ways in this tier. I don't think anything in here beats the under 150 like the Nova, because it's got everything. It's got enough bass, that sub bass extension when you need it. It's amazing. The only other IEM that I think it competes with the details of the Nova is the baby brother or the baby sister, the Hexa. But it's got a different, I think, a different fit. If you need something fun for stage, you need rumble, you need bass, you need you play bass, you play drums, you play guitar, you need something that is just fun on stage. There's nothing like the Truthier Nova. There's also, if you need not so much mid-range, a little more neutral, the IE200, Sennheiser IE200 is just I see the graph, but the graph doesn't sound like that when I try them on. And then again, we got something for those who are singers, like the T4. Just great for singers. Not a lot of the higher details and the higher frequencies, so it focuses more on vocals. Same with the Galileo. It's those vocals are insane, really good. Get enough resolution on the low end, so for keyboard players, could be great. The Legacy 2 is amazing, also for singers. So, I think that for male singers, because not everyone's gonna have the fit with these are bigger IEMs, so that's why the T4 might be a great idea. But if you're female, you might not need to spend as much. Just go for the Duo or the T2. But if you're also female and then you play and you want to hear more instruments, and you don't necessarily need something bigger, the IE200 might be great because it's fairly small. They're very similar to the SE215 from Shure, but it's just got this low end that sometimes it might be cumbersome. Some people might not like it, but it's not bassy. Like if I compare it to AirPod Pros or Beat headphones, this don't have that much low end. It's just enough low end. Compared to the S12, this is very B-shaped. There's a lot of low end here. And this would be great for drummers or for bass players. Then they need that bassy mid-range, that low mid-range, that punch, that hits you. And there's one headphone that it's gonna be here in the list, and I'm still debating, and I want to show it to you. And it's by KZ, and these are called the Bader, like Darth Vader. These headphones have switches for tuning, and these are the balance. And I mean, to hear music and to play live, that may be extremely fun. But I'm still hearing the options of tuning, but I was expecting to hear more like difference in the tuning, and there really isn't. So that's why they're not on the list yet, because I still gotta play with them live before they go in here. But having headphones that have tuning switches might be helpful. So they have two versions, the balance and the high resolution. These have a lot high resolution, the Baders, but I think the dual beats them, and they're about the same price, or the CC8 Trio, and they're a little bit more comfortable. The Baders, I just find them uncomfortable because they're too heavy, and might not be for everyone. But if you're a drummer and you want big headphones that feel in there in your ear. Usually I don't like them to feel them. I want to like just not worry about my headphones. I love IEMs that just get lost in my ears. So it's just your preference, and the isolation on the Sonos is just amazing. um, there's one of my, I would say, favorite sounding IEMs also, that have great detail, and it's insane. It has one balanced armature driver, which is a full magic one, and it's truly magic. They have really good balance low end on it, especially that mid punch. It's not they don't have extension on the low end, but I think that for basses and drummers that kind of want that flat response a little bit, I think these are insane. Now under 150, there's not much for mix engineers in this, but one of them that I could recommend, because I use it to mix, I was using them a lot to mix audio just because the way they sound and give you audio, was the Truthier Hexa. If you do a lot of like live mixing and you don't have more than 150 bucks, I wouldn't recommend the Truthier Nova, even though they're detailed. I would recommend the Hexa, because that low end extension is so smooth and so lively when you need it, that if it was my preference of under $150, what would be the only headphone that I would choose on this list would be the Hexa, because I already have them. I have my Hexas right here, and those headphones, oh look, when I listen to music I have my C10s on a Bluetooth adapter. I still use them, you know, just when I'm working out I use those because I like the low end and I had them for a while. But if I'm gonna critique audio and I need something quick, I'm gonna go to just pull something out to kind of reference audio on a mix. Here's my Hexas. Can't tell, but here are my Truthier Hexas with the original ear tips. I mean, they sound that good. This I don't use them live just because they're a little bit small and they move around. They bleed some sound from the outside. But these are great for sitting behind the mixer, you know, doing live sound. Still some bleed of the sound in it, of the room, and for mixing in, not necessarily mastering, but mixing on a laptop or your audio. I think the next one will be the Legacy 2. I think those are great, pretty balanced. They don't have a lot of extension. The brightness on it. I think the next one too to be the Nova. Let me put it this way: if you ever heard the Chronicle Zero Red and you like that bass response and the punchiness without being overbearing, and the details and the resolution of the Hexa, just get the Nova, because it's the hybrid of the two. And I think, you know, for 150, there's not much on it. I think the Kai is pretty good, but there's nothing on the top end. But they're here because they're small and they might fit singers. But it's in there. Also for females, the Hexa might be a good choice because they're not that big. They're pretty small and they're very comfortable. Just gotta find the right ear tip. All right, so let's move on under $300 ish. Now we get into some really good headphones, or IEMs in here. Wannabe is the Hype 2. This is kind of the Hexa, a little bit less that spike on the mid-range, but it's warm, but the soundstage on it's amazing. I think it's just good all around. Even though it seems like it has a lot of bass, it didn't sound like it has a lot of bass, especially if you use foam tips. If you don't get a really tight isolation, you don't get that bass shooting into your ears as bad. I like those. The soft ears volume, oh my god, this headphones is great when I heard it for the first time. So here we have the 425 for singers. I used to have this and I really liked it, and I think still today it's really good for those who are singers. The softer's volume is a big IEM. It might not fit females, but for males, I think if you get this right fit, I think for acoustic guitar players, keyboard players, I mean, it's just amazing the way it gives you sound. It's a little intimate, not huge soundstage, but it was great. We got something for like those who are the ATH LS200 IS. Singer's guitars, there's not a lot of detail. It's very smooth. Then you have the Kiwi Orchestra, which I think it's great for sound engineers, and it has a nice resolving, kind of low end. It bleeds a little bit on the mid range here, and it's amazing. And we have one of the most flat response in a way IEMs if you just want something that is flat. And there I don't think in the list is going to be anything kind of flatter than this one, which is the Flat Frequency Reference Plus. The only reason that is here, the graph might not look great, is that they have custom for another $100 you can get a custom fit done to your ear, and it'll be 246, maybe at around 350. Those are amazing. To me they're too boring, but to live use, but for referencing audio and trying to mix it, I think these are really good choice. Okay, so we got the Timeless B shape. I don't recommend it anymore. Let's just delete this one from the list. Delete row. A full acoustic performer 5. These were amazing, but I think there's some IEMs that already beat this one, like the AKG N 5005. These are great for live performing, but some people might like a full because of the fit, the look. I mean, that takes place. The AKG N 5005, it didn't fit me. I just couldn't get a good feel, good seal. It was a problematic, but my wife liked them. Like, it just fit her. But she thought it was too much bass, so it's in there because it's resolving. Even though I haven't changed the curve, it's matching the Harman curve, not the diffuse field. So it's pretty good. Let's go into the Legacy 4. It's amazing. Nothing very similar to the Hexa, but it might be good for those who like the look. They need something that is kind of like the Hexa, even though it's not as resolving as the Hexa, and it's only $80. But still, if you like the look, the soundstage is better on this one, and I would say the mid-range is a little bit better on the Legacy 4. Okay, the Tansu. Okay, this one's out of here. There's nothing on that one. Okay, let's talk about this one, the Slevo SL41 NK2, or the CLVX 41, which are basically almost the same. This one's amazing. Even though it shows it has a lot of low end, it's just great for drummers. The low end that it has is very resolving. Even though it's all around, it's questionable, but I think that this is for under $200. I think is one of the $300 is one of the best headphones on the list to give you a little bit of everything. If I was gonna choose one IEM this whole list under $300, it could be the Softer's volume, but I think the Slevo SL41 would be my favorite in this whole list. Maybe, and I'm just saying maybe, the Legacy 4. Okay, S12 Pro, no, not anymore. And there's too much V shape. Nothing we can use in this list. All right, so let's go into the IEMs under $600. This is going to be the most bang for your buck. And if we start from the top, you might say, hey, there's a $750 IEM that you say under 600. Well, hear me out. This headphone has 4 different tunings in one IEM. What does that mean? It's got this faceplates that change the tuning on this IEM. So you get more bass, less bass, more reference, more flat, more lively. So if we were to use a calculator, 750 divided by 4, you get 4 IEMs under $190. And you can use it for different things. You want to play bass and you want to hear fun, change the faceplate. You going to sing, you change the faceplate that is more for singers. You're gonna do mixing live, you change the faceplate for the neutral, and then if you're gonna master, you change for the flat response. So this IEM has a lot going on, and could be one of the best, but it's big. It's not gonna fit everyone, and maybe not everyone's gonna be able to afford it. So, but for what I've heard on this, on the neutral and the reference, I was like, wow, that's 4 BAs. They were very, very resolving. Okay, so let's go into the Duno SA6 MK2. And I know I have it here, and I have not put the IEM that beats this headphone just because I want to hear one more time, which is also another Mayer audio. Okay, we talk about this, the Sleevo SL41. Well, they have the SL6, and I think it could be better than the Duno SA6 MK2, but I haven't heard it yet. So just have it in mind, because pretty soon I hope to get my hands on one of those. The Oracle Mark 1, I mean, it's just it's in here because it sounds great. It's fun. If you're a drummer, maybe not for sound engineers. Let's change that, because I don't think it's for sound engineers. There's better IEMs for that, under $600. Sorry about that. Which will be for drummers and bass players, and like that Harman curve. This amazing. Maybe the Mark II, but these are more expensive. And this you can find them for maybe under $300. I think I seen them on Amazon. Okay, we have the Moondrop Variations Harman curve, but I don't think it's even relevant for live musicians, because if I was gonna choose something like this, I would go for the Nova for the price. So I'm sorry, Variations, you're gonna be out the list. Okay, let's talk about this headphone, because recently I got into these headphones, 5 frequency. Now this is a different version of the one we had before. This is called the Reference Pro SE, and this one is tuned specifically for singers. You can get a custom fit for about $100, so be about $600, and you don't need to. You just get good tips. A little bit on the large size, but I think for the tuning and the way they sound, I think they deserve to be in this list. I'm gonna skip this one, and I'm gonna go to the second one, the Fat Frequency Response Pro. Now, this is one of the most flat IEMs in the entire list. I heard them and I was like, wow, those sound boring. Maybe there's nothing to it, but that's the amazing thing for it, because you will hear not necessarily how things were meant to be heard, but I think there's a use for this IEM, especially if you're mixing and mastering and you don't want to be taking your headphones. You can use these. For me, they're a little too flat, but it's uses. I already have the IEMs that I'm used to, and the point of this is that you don't want to be having plugins and carry flat response. You can use this with, let's say, Wave CL, what's it called, NAX. Anyways, the simulation for rooms of Sienna, and these headphones you might not have to be correcting them in there. And if you get a custom IEM, a fit, which will be around $500, I think that's insane. That's amazing. You don't need to, but you could. Let's go with the next ones. I'm gonna skip the Studio 4 because I'm biased. I have these. But let's talk about the Hype 4. Um, let me change this because now that I compare it with other IEMs, it's neutral reference, but I would say for drummers, definitely. This is for live drummers. I don't think there's any other place that I will put this in, just because the way it responds with bass, maybe with bass players, but I think drummers would take advantage of this a little bit. Drummers and bass players. Also, which one that I moved out? The variations. Yeah, this would be kind of like a cheaper variations without that peak on the mid range. It'd be amazing. Let's talk about this one. A full Performer 8 flat. The reference is great. The imaging, and they're here, and they might be knocked out, but the SL6 by Mayor Audio, but I haven't heard it yet, and I think it deserves a spot here, especially this bass response in here. It's different than the Hype 4, and it's just a different flavor of bass. These two compete with each other pretty good. I just think that it's just, like I said, a different flavor. A little bit more bass, a little bit less bass, more neutral, a little bit more bass than what you want. Might sound warm, but I think the soundstage on the Performer 8 it's better, and the resolution and the higher frequencies a lot better. So it makes it more detailed, more refined, and you hear more details. So just take your pick. Now let's talk about this, the Blessing 3. What a beautiful IEM. If you're a singer and you want the best of the best without spending a lot of money, I think Blessing 3 is the way to go. Has a little bit of low end, especially if you play keys and you don't need a lot of sub low end. This is amazing. For acoustic guitar, just beautiful. The mid range in this is just amazing. The only other IEM that kind of gives you this sound, if you don't have $300, it's the Hexa. Questionably the Sonus, which is only $60, but the detail and the soundstage and the way it presents audio, there's nothing like the Blessing 3, especially for singers. I could say for mixing and mastering, but the mid range I don't think is ideal. There's something missing with the Blessing 3 that I would not recommend it, because it's around $300. I'd rather use the Hexa. And under $600, in my humble opinion, out of all these IEMs, there's nothing like the Softier Studio 4. Here's my Studio 4s, and the fit is amazing. The accessories is amazing. Changing tips in this, it makes a huge difference, and right now I'm using the Hexa tips in this, and it just gives me a better bass response. If I use the original, it gives me a little bit more resolving and thumpy, not thumpy, but a little bit better isolation, but sometimes I want the middle of the road. But with foam tips, it just gives me this beautiful soundstage. I use the Lean Soul foam tips, the blue foam tips on the Studio 4s, and it just gives me this beautiful soundstage. Not so much low end, but it's just like, wow, they sound like IEMs. They sound like headphones in a sense, even though the soundstage is not big or super wide like my SHP or my Sennheisers. It kind of feels like I have those in, and I can wear them for hours, which is amazing. Personally, when I'm sitting behind the mixer and I'm doing live sound, these are the headphones that I'm using. If I'm doing a mix and I'm trying to find details, these are the headphones I use. If I'm playing live, and most of the services that I play, I use the Studio 4s until now. If I'm gonna play live, I don't think I want to use the Studio 4s, especially if I'm playing drums, because of the isolation. The only other headphones that isolate as good as these are the Sonys, which I'm wearing right now. For $60, even though they don't have the resolution, even though that's got that peak around 10K, the hears lets you hear those details in there. There's nothing like the Studio 4. It's hard to explain, and I know the graph looks in a certain way, but the way you hear sound, it sounds a little bit more flat, but a fun flat. It's like if you had a good pair of NS10s and a sub, but just slightly. Even though it has 4 BAs, the balanced armature driver that is giving you the low end is so dynamic. And it's gonna change from ear to ear, and I want to say that this is the ultimate, but from all the ones that I tried, it's just the most reference fun that I could say. They're not completely flat, because if you look at the graph, they're not, but they just give you enough of everything where you're like, okay, I can get used to this. You know what they sound like. So, you know, here is my entire list. I hope that this helps you find the correct IEMs, you know. Look at from the top where I'm coming from, of kind of personally finding something that I can use as a reference, and then from there the list goes on. And let me know what you think would be your favorite IEMs. What be the IEM that you have? Let me know which ones you use. What would you recommend? Do you think it should be in here? And what I will also recommend you is that use auto EQ to see your IEM. Maybe you can find the response, or you can use what's called SQ. Okay, this is how I find it. IEM database, Squinglink, and when you click in there, you can find any IEM and compare it. Let me show you how we use it. So let's go. My reference, Studio 4. Okay, I find it, and once I have it in there, Studio 4. Okay, perfect. And let's say I want to compare it to the 01, the first edition, which is, this is insane. Watch what happens. They're so close to each other. So for $25, I can get similar signature with a spike around 8K and a little bit questionably better resolution around, you know, 12K. But the fit, the zero bleed a lot of sound in. They don't isolate great, but they're great for stage use, for those who need to hear the sound from outside. I can't use this for live, but I could use them when I'm behind the mixer. And there was a time, I think I did a mix. I forgot my Studio 4s, but I had my zeros, and when I put them in, I was like, huh, so similar. And when I found how to compare this graphic, I was like, oh, no wonder, like I know the sound. So here it is, the best under 600 compared to the best under $25. Looking at graphs tells you a lot about the IEM. The only thing that's going to differ from person to person is your tips, fit, and let's say the isolation. You know, it's kind of like having a good tuned room, so the foam tips kind of like give you the isolation of that tuning to hear the sound into your ears, which is an advantage from headphones that I seem to be more leaning towards doing all my pre-mixing and find all the details on IEMs, and then just use my headphones for referencing. But most of the time I use my in-ears now. Let's do something. So let's say we got a 25 under $50. Let's compare it to the Sonys, okay, and the Hexa, just for fun. And then I'll talk about these other ones. Where am I? Okay, so let's now search for Hexa. This has got the Trithier Hexa. Okay, look at that graph. It's very similar. A little bit more low end, even just tiny smidge. It's just, but so similar. And now let's look at the Sonys. Let's see if he's got. Oh, unfortunately, he doesn't have the Sonys. Well, let's open it in a different tab, and let's compare it to the Hexa, because they're very similar. Look at that graph. They're so similar. The Hexa looks like it has a lot more extension of sub low end. but just because the Sonos seal better, they have more resolving, which is insane. If you look to the Sound 0 to the Hexa and the Studio 4, let's see if we can compare the Studio 4 in here. Studio 4, yes, there it is. Look, all these 3 headphones, let's say, and then let's put the 0, see if I can put, yeah, there you go. Oh no, this is Type 0, the 0 first one. Okay, there they are. They're so similar to each other. This is insane. There's the $25 one. There's the under 50, under 150. What's under 300? Let me pick one just to throw in there. I would say the Sleevo. Let's just see if we can find the Sleevo in here, just for fun. Oh, he doesn't have it. CLVX. Does he have it? Let's go Mayor Audio. He doesn't have it. The SLT6. Okay. Anyways, I'm getting a little bit sidetracked. I love to look at graphs in this manner. This is by Giz Audio. Definitely look at his page. He's got very good reviews. More of an audiophile, but I'm trying to my thing is stage use and mixing and mastering to a certain degree for the performer, musician that needs IEMs. That's the curve I like. And then the only thing I need to put in here is the diffuse field. So that's the target. There's a new diffuse field or IF neutral. Is it in here? IF. Okay, there it is. No. Okay, that's perfect. 51 and 28. Okay, that's good enough. Diffuse field. So you can see how much bass it has in IEMs. This is different on headphones. I think if you have this curve on headphones, there's a lot of bass, but on IEMs, I think it's different. Okay. I hope this video helps you. Before I move into another IEM, this is something new that I found, and I want to kind of share with you guys. There's this company called WAPS, and they do custom in-ear for in-ear monitors for $199. I just found them while I was doing my research, and I think there's something in the future I'm gonna get into, and you can get your colors. This is insane. But I couldn't find any frequency responses. I don't know if they have universal, but definitely if you're a musician that wants to have a custom fit IEM, there is a company. It's called WAPS, and I think they're done here in the state, and I think they have a hybrid, like a custom in-ear, but you still use foam tips, so it fits and isolates good, but you still ear tips. And the full custom fit, which I think it starts around $400, which is insane. And you know, dual driver, triple drivers, 5 drivers, 6 driver per ear, and it goes to $600, which is insane. So I think this is great for $600 custom in-ears. Sign me up. But I need to hear frequency responses. I need to see how they sound, because what if they're not what I'm looking for? So let's see if I can ask them to cut me a deal. If you guys help out the channel, I'll be able to, you know, just buy some out of my money and then just give you an honest opinion. Same with the NF and NE4, the what they call the audio NE4. You go to Prime Audio Reviews, and you can, I think this is very interesting because it's got a lot of things on the faceplate that gives you tuning, which I would love to get my hands on this and hear all of them together instead of just one of each. Alright friends, hope this video was helpful for you, and let me know what are your thoughts. What IEMs are you currently using? Go through the list. I'm gonna post it right now in the description below, as soon as this is done, and then you can let me know what some of your favorites on each category or each price range. Have a blessed day. Getting ready for church tomorrow. I'm doing some live mixing, and I'm mixing the stream as well. So I'll do another video how it turned out. I'll be using my trusty Studio Force, and I'm gonna try my new Sonos to the live. I'm gonna start with this. I think I should start with this and then compare it with my Studio Force because I know how they sound. God bless you all. Have a blessed night and have a beautiful Sunday service tomorrow. Ciao. I'll see you soon. Bye.